All right, we're ready to get started with today's event. For those of you who are just joining us, my name is Erica Elson. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm joining you today from the unceded land of the Serrano people in Crestline, California. To kick things off, I'm going to hand it over to our presenters, Toby Brooks, Assistant Director of the Sundance Ignite program, and Kat Schultz, Coordinator of Documentary Film and Ignite programs. So I will be back to moderate the Q&A, but I will turn it over to you, Toby and Kat.
Hello, everybody. Very nice to meet you all, or see you all, or for you to see me. My name is Toby Brooks. I am the Assistant Director of the Sundance Ignite Fellowship and program. I use he, him pronouns, and I am a white man with a green hat, a beard, a black shirt, and a gold chain and glasses as well. And behind me, you will see the fabulous Mass Mocha, a hallway with some lights in it where the fellowship takes place over the summer. And yeah, we'll let Kat introduce themselves.
Thanks, Toby. Hi, everyone. My name is Kat Schultz. I am the coordinator for the Documentary Film and Ignite programs here at the Sundance Institute. I have brown bangs, short brown hair, and I am sitting in front of Mass Mocha as well, a building in Massachusetts. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm calling in from Tongva Land, also known as Pasadena, California. Back to you, Toby.
Fantastic. So before we dive too deep into the program in our own words, we're going to play a little sizzle reel about Sundance Ignite to whet your appetites. The Sundance Ignite program is a year-long fellowship for 10 filmmakers 18 to 25 years old who are looking to propel themselves to the next step in their career. This is a program that's really looking to find the next generation of filmmakers. Who are these folks who are going to be telling our stories?
At Adobe, we believe in creativity for all. Since 2015, through the Sundance Ignite program, we have supported over 90 filmmakers with the resources, tools, and mentorships that they need to expand their skills and careers.
Making film is not easy, and filmmaking is the sort of art that can't really do alone.
I wanted to be a part of a community where there was not really any plan B, and it feels like I'm in the right place.
To create a safe environment where we talk about the work, being able to see something filmmaker to filmmaker.
It's like this absolute mine of knowledge, and I really want to try to sponge everything up.
There's this huge community that are committed to just helping people, especially younger creatives like me. And I'm like, that's really cool. Like, I didn't think that existed.
Fantastic. So, I think we can bring up the slides to our tech team. Wonderful. So, what is Sundance Ignite? So the Ignite program is the Sundance Institute's program for 18 to 25-year-old filmmakers. And this is our 10th year operating, or we are going into our 10th year of existing, which is an incredible milestone that we feel really privileged to have gotten to. The fellowship is the program was developed as we saw a need for this particular age group as they transition from some of the early stages of being an artist or film school or audience members into kind of creating helping filmmakers create sustainable careers for themselves and helping build a young audience for the Sundance Film Festival for both our audience and for us to ensure that we had people who wanted to be part of our community for many years to come. So the program operates in two main spheres. We operate in both of our public programs, and our artist programs. Our public programs are most widely known for our the Sundance Film Festival, and at the Sundance Film Festival we run the Sundance Ignite ticket package, which is an open ticket package for anyone who would like to purchase it. It's a subsidized ticketing package for 18 to 25-year-old audience members, filmmakers, anyone who wants to come. You get 10 tickets, you get five vouchers for digital films after the festival, as well as we put on a number of events specifically for this age group, including networking events, speed dating events, panels, workshops, and some parties as well. That is still open. There are still ticket packages to purchase. You can go to the Sundance Film Festival website. We are running out of them, though, so if you are interested, do so quickly. And then the core of the work that we're here to talk about specifically today is the Sundance Ignite Fellowship. And the Kat, am I going to you on this, or am I the Sundance Ignite Fellowship? So
I will take it from there. I'll take it from there.
fabulous.
So yeah, so really excited to talk to you guys a little bit about the fellowship. The fellowship begins with a week-long lab at Mass MoCA in North Adams. As you'll see from both Toby and I's virtual background, we are repping some beautiful locations that are located at Mass MoCA. Mass MoCA is the Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art. It's one of the largest locations of contemporary art in the US. We are there for a week-long lab that is filled with presentations from mentors, presentations from the fellows, activities where fellows are able to bond amongst the art and the nature that is located at Mass MoCA. Mixed throughout, we will do activities really with the aim that this lab is just the beginning of building a cohort. The 10 fellows are there to get to know each other, to share about their work ahead of going into a year-long fellowship. Our fellowship will be running this year from June 22nd through June 27th. Lodging, airfare, and a stipend are provided for attendees attending the lab. As I said, the lab is really just that kickoff point where fellows are able to meet each other, get to participate, learn about each other's work, and then that's just the beginning. Then throughout the year, the filmmakers will be paired with an alumni mentor. A couple previous mentors from years past have included directors Andrew Ahn and Dee Rees. They work with their mentors to learn about advice from their professional careers, ways of working, and to share and seek advice from them. The filmmakers, as part of this fellowship, you will also receive a $3,000 artist grant. You will get to participate in cohort calls such as monthly webinars, workshops, and workshares. To note though, throughout your fellowship year, it is not an expectation that you complete a completed short film, feature film, or episodic piece. You're really there to grow as an artist and to grow in a cohort. While you're able to share your script, you do not have to finish it in that year, but we really do want to create those spaces where you can get peer-to-peer feedback. As well, really thankful to our partner Adobe, you will also receive a complimentary Adobe Creative Cloud 12-month membership. So that's a bit of a snapshot of the fellowship. Again, it starts with the lab in June and goes throughout the year. I'll then hand it back to Toby to talk about the application.
Sure, and I just want to emphasize that this is an artist-based fellowship. What we are looking for is artists. This is not a project-based fellowship, so we're not developing projects, nor is there an expectation that you complete a project throughout the duration of the fellowship. So the application is open now. It opened on Monday, and it closes February 14th. And it's a very simple application for the first round. There are kind of three main components to it. There is a short film that you submit that is 15 minutes long or under. That includes credits. Please keep it 15 minutes or under. That really gives us a sense of where you are as a filmmaker right now. You want to submit something that really shows us where your craft is, where your writing is, where your voice is. It was really representative of the type of artist that you are right now. We also ask for you to submit an active project that is proof of something that you're working on throughout the fellowship. And this is an opportunity for us to see kind of where you want to go as an artist, so understand a little bit of your trajectory and kind of see you in process as an artist. This can be a myriad of different forms. It can be the first 5 pages of a script, a lookbook, a treatment, a proof of concept, a sizzle, something that gives us a sense of kind of what you want to work on. And this is, you do not have to complete this particular project. However, this is, ideally something that you will work on throughout the fellowship. And then we also have a couple written questions, primarily, why did you choose to tell this story? And this gives us a sense of your motivation behind, and that's related to the short film that you submit. And this gives us a sense of your motivation behind the film and behind kind of your process as an artist and kind of what your intentions are as a filmmaker. And yeah, the application, like I said, is open on sundance.org/ignite. or sorry, collab.sundance.org. Actually, I don't know what the URL is because it's here on the screen and you can click it and they will put it in the chat as well. Yeah, we're really excited to see all of your applications. And that's, yeah, after that round of applications, we invite a small number of folks to complete a secondary application, which includes more comprehensive essay questions as well as an interview round. And from there, we select our 10 fellows to be part of the fellowship for the year. And apply to the Sundance Ignite and Adobe Fellowship. If you have any questions about the fellowship at any point throughout your application process, you can email us at ignite@sundance.org, and we're happy to answer any questions. Those can be both about the fellowship, the content of your application, as well as any technical questions that you might have. The one thing I will say that I always say to people is the application closes February 14th, but please give yourself a couple of days of buffer for any technical difficulties that you might have so that we can address them before the application closes. It is much easier for us to help you get your application completed and in consideration if you give yourself a couple days of buffer, because everyone trying to upload on the 14th when they should be drinking champagne with strawberries and cream with their loved ones. Yeah, just give yourself some technical buffer. Wonderful. Fantastic. We also have a wonderful guest that I'm going to invite now to talk a little bit about his experience in the fellowship. You may have seen him in the video that we played at the beginning of the webinar, and I'm going to invite him right now, the wonderful Raphael Beauchamp.
I guess it's my cue.
This is your cue. Come on.
Oh my God!
There you are.
Hey, hello.
Boom.
Hello,
And
everyone.
here is
Nice to
Raphael.
meet you.
Hello, Raphael. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very good. Thanks for asking. How about you?
I'm doing very wonderful. I feel very
Wonderful.
excited to talk about this program and talk about it with you, as it has now been, this will be almost 2 years since you applied for the Ignite Fellowship.
Yes,
It was
exactly.
wild
Yes.
that we got there.
Yeah.
So why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, tell us who you are, where you're from, and kind of a little bit of your background as a filmmaker.
Who am I? Okay, so my name is hello everyone. I'm Raphael. I'm 27. I'm as you can probably hear, I'm a French Canadian. I'm in Montreal right now with the sunset right over there. So yeah, nice to meet you. I'm a filmmaker, emerging filmmaker that tries to delve into personal issues presented through the lens of genre filmmaking, and that's pretty much how I approach this fellowship, and that was like my specificity, I think. If I don't know if that answers it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, I'm curious, how did you hear about the Ignite Fellowship and what kind of what made you want to apply?
Yeah, ever since I was 17, I know I'm sounding a bit sold on the Sundance, but I truly am, because when I was 17, I discovered the film festival and I hope to get there by 25. And so every year I check for programs and everything. And basically the year of my 25th birthday, I encountered an ad for Sundance Ignite, and I tried, and I sweated over my application for many weeks, and I hoped so much, and then I got in. So I knew it and I also heard about it from 2 fellows before me, Aziz and Karen Guyen.
Yes, so there were some Canadian fellows who had come through the program that
exactly
you had heard some of them.
Yes.
Both documentary filmmakers. So once you got into the fellowship and you came to Massachusetts in MassMocha, what was your experience at the lab specifically like?
It was a very truly unique experience because it was my first talent lab and everything. The thing I liked the most is that everyone there met with the expectation of learning. So there were no egos, no one thought they were better than anyone else. And it very rapidly felt like a common ground was created amongst us because we were all in the same place, pretty much the same age-ish. And it felt very sheltered. So that's why my first impression. I really did not expect to connect. So it was basically like a summer camp, but instead of having a fire every night, you were just talking about filmmaking for a week. So yeah, that's why I loved it.
Yeah, we didn't have any fires as much as
No, there was a
we
pool.
wanted to
however.
like maybe have some like some s'mores and
Yeah,
marshmallows, but
marshmallows.
um uh so what I guess the question is like post fellowship,
Sure.
what has some of the how has the fellowship impacted you as an artist, or kind of what are the ways that it's kind of, impressed on your life?
Well,
Or
the thing is, of course, like the Sundance is a very well-known institution, so I feel I have become legitimized all of a sudden, even though I didn't change that much. It's just that this being endorsed felt very life-changing, and I'm not using that lightly. It's like it's true. I feel it at home, and another thing that changed a lot for me is something unexpected, is that it created this familiarity with something as huge. And for me, it made, I don't know, by the way, if my English is understandable. I feel like I'm zigzagging a lot, but my
crystal
point is
clear.
like, okay, wonderful.
Mhm.
The thing is, it made me a bit more fearless, because I still feel super small and super emerging. I have so many things to learn, but it created this pathway where I'm like, well, I feel like everyone is pretty much in that mood. So that's like a personal experience that felt very life-changing, and still is today, because I'm a bit introverted and socially and awkward, and it reassured me that it's okay. Yeah,
It's so funny when you
that's
say that you're introverted, because it is just so not the
yeah.
experience that I have of you, which is wonderful.
I'm a bit of both, but
Yeah,
my social battery is low often.
yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Um, and then I guess, what is a piece of advice that you have for people if they are in the fellowship? What is something that you think that they, what is something that they should do or pay attention to, or be present?
If they are in, or if they
If
apply.
they both. Let's start with if they are in, and then we can go to if they apply.
Well, if they are in, I feel like everyone, but that was a bit acquired from. It's not the right word. People that applied to the fellowship the year I was in were all embodying this. It was very. They had this very humble and knowledge thirsty attitude, which was, I think, the correct way to approach it. In my humble opinion, I don't know how you guys judge, but I feel like everyone that has this curiosity is something for any learning experience, for any talent lab. I feel like it's very important to showcase that. And if you don't have that, and if you try to fake it, well, everyone will feel it regardless. So
It's a huge
yeah.
part of the criteria of what we look for is definitely a willingness and an openness to learn, and a willingness and a desire to push themselves and be present, and we someone we really try and create a warm and an egoless energy within this.
Yeah.
And
And
I
it worked.
also think that one thing your group was really good at, and I think something we look for when we are programming, is really, trying to focus on artists who are very generous with not only their art and what they're trying to say and kind of the films that they're trying to put out, but generous with each other in knowledge and generous with each other in spirit. And I think that your
I
particular
agree.
cohort was like that quite a bit.
Yeah, it was
Cohort
very.
was also Your cohort was a lot of fun. And I think that one thing that you guys did really well was you guys found a lot of humor and joy in everything that we were doing, and you found a lot of humor and joy with each other. And that I think is such a driver of a desire to be present and be an artist, is finding joy, which is
Yeah.
something I think you guys liked. Now, if during their application, what is something that you, I mean, you kind of addressed that, but what are some tips you have for creating a really strong application?
Okay. I don't know, but from what, like, I'm truly honest, I don't know what your selection process is, but from what I've gathered, and also from grants application in Quebec, I feel like the keyword is specificity. And I'm not sure if that's a correct, but that's like my way to approach cinema in general. I feel like basically anything can be told and anything can be sold and anything can be shown, but I feel like specificity was makes it stand apart. Like basically what I try to mean is if you want to make a coming of age movie, well, make it in a way that can only be made by you. And that's a bit cliche, but what I mean by that is that you from this specificity, originality will come, and it will also feel personal. And I feel like this will become very cohesive throughout all your arguments about who you are. Like I don't know. I remember when you met me over Zoom, you were like, "Oh my God, your movies are so dark and so stressful," but you're not that at all. But the thing is that, of course, you don't believe me, but I'm super anxious in life, and that's why I'm a bit introverted and everything, and you don't see it. But I use that. I from what I've remembered, I use this, which is deeply true, to bring that personality into my work and into the question I answered. And basically it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell without getting into cliches, but if you're
Go ahead.
but like if you're truly yourself, it's good, but you have to tell me why you're that way for it to be great.
Yeah, the
So
specificity is really, really what we're looking for in applications. It really helps us understand who you are as a filmmaker. I think that like a lot of filmmakers, nobody, this is going to sound mean when I say this, and it's not mean, but like no filmmaker is going to come up with they're never going to be the first person to come up with the idea that they have. And I think
Yeah.
that that's not what the goal of an artist is, to tell a story that's never been told. It's really about telling a story through your lens, through your voice, through your perspective that makes it distinct and makes it unique and really helps us understand, what your goals are as an artist and how we can help you find them. And also being distinct with your voice and being specific with your voice helps us really, really tailor the kind of support or advice or criticism or critique that you want on projects, because it helps us understand specifically what it is that you're trying to say. Because it's not we're not in it for ourselves. We're not making our movies. We're trying to help you make your movies. And that really helps us try to do this. Now, before we move on to questions, Raphael, you offered very kindly to
thank you for saying it.
to share your Instagram, where you're very willing to share your actual physical application or digital application that you submit.
Yes.
You can have a sense of kind of what your stuff looked like.
Yeah, so I'm talking to all the 20-something people that I can see, but you see me right now. It's not a lot of people in the past year and a half were like, well, how was Ignite? What do you think about it? Honestly, and I was honest, and it was good, by the way. But yeah, I've been honest, and I know it's can be very stressful, and I try to do this with like all my work. I try to democratize this application process, even though it's competitive. Maybe it can help you guys. So just follow me on Instagram and send me a message. But like make sure to follow, because sometimes I don't see the notification of the message, and I'll just send you everything I did for my year. It's not like a perfect thing, but maybe it can help you or inspire you. I don't really mind it.
Awesome.
That's it. There's already one. Well done. But but send me a message and I'll send you. I've done it many times in the past year, so I really it's a pleasure.
I think you said something that's really important for people to, or just you said one of the effects of the program was just like kind of demystified a little bit about what Sundance is and kind of who we are. And I think when you're approaching large institutions or competitive applications, it can be very intimidating and think that like there's some sort of like, I don't know, not pearly white gates. That's the end of life. But some like fortified place that you can't get into, that is inaccessible. And I really hope that people know that these fellowships exist for you, and they exist for any young filmmakers who are interested, and that anybody has access to this. Of course, our resources are limited. We can't give resources, all of them. We don't have enough for everybody, sadly. But there's no reason why you can't be in this fellowship, and there's no reason why you shouldn't apply for this fellowship, as intimidating as it might seem.
Yeah.
Is a big thing to say. Wonderful. Well, why don't we open it up for some questions? You can ask questions of me, of Raphael, Kat. I think there's some in the Q&A. I think if you want to use the Q&A box, that's the best way for us to manage these questions. And Erica, should I just go through some of these?
I can read them out loud and
Awesome.
you can all answer. Thank you so much, Toby and Kat, for the presentation. Rafael, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience today. So I will start with a question from Taylor. This is a two-part question. What key things does Sundance Ignite look for in its applicants to determine if an applicant is ready or not? And what are you looking for in the secondary round versus the first?
That's a really interesting and good question. I'll start with I'll actually start with the second one because I can answer that a little more broadly. The first round of the application is really about just showing us kind of where you are right now as a filmmaker. Us having a bit of understanding about where your relationship with the craft is, kind of what your finished, polished work looks like at this particular stage, as well as like a little bit of the in process with those secondary things. So it is definitely more product forward, or I don't know, finished product forward rather than internal, but it's to be blunt, it's a little bit about how effective you are at transmitting your emotions and your ideas into film and with the art form itself, how good your movies are ultimately, if I may be so blunt. And then the second round is really us to get a sense of who you are as a person, both your goals, your personality, your sense of self, your relationship to your art, and just talk a little bit more. Kind of what Raphael was saying, a lot of what goes into putting together a cohort of 10 people has to do with the composition of the group, and who the 10 filmmakers are, how they're going to play off of each other, support each other, whether there's a diversity of styles, a diversity of tone, a diversity of filmmaking, that we really just want to make sure the group is going to jive, and also, to be frank, people that we want to work with, people that we feel like we will get along with, because that comes with some of it. And the interview, and I don't know, Raphael, if you can maybe want to talk about the interview experience, but from our side, it's really, really a chance to get to know you as a person, more than it is your work. I don't know, Raphael, if you want to talk about your experience.
Yeah, but to be honest, I was quite nervous. I was super stressed, but very fast, because I remember it was you and Jessica, and you guys are like 30 something. I think Jessica is like 29. I don't remember, 30. And basically, it was like I expected this like council of deciders. And under like this concrete big table, but basically it was like two people a bit older than me talking, and I felt very at ease fast. And I remember like the last question you asked was, what do you watch? What piece of media do you consume when you don't watch films? And from that moment, I was like, well, I watch karting race, and like organize the French Canadian, not boxing, but basically it felt very. There was no good answer, but the wrong answer was not to be sincere. Like I felt like it was very casual. It was way more casual than I thought, and that helped. Basically, I ended the thing and I was like relieved, not because I knew I was gonna get taken or not, but it was basically it felt very approachable.
Yeah, I think that's
so. The hard part for me was the written part, and hence the anticipation of the interview, but the interview was going.
Yeah, and the written part, we do ask, the second portion does have quite a handful of longer responses, where we really ask you to consider some questions about yourself and write them. And it is also very important. And I will say, however, the interview itself is my favorite and most informative part of the application process, because and we ask questions to try and disarm you a little bit, because it, not disarm you, but make you feel more comfortable, because it really helps us understand a bit about who you are. And then what are we looking for in its applications to decide whether or not we'd like to accept an applicant or not in terms of readiness? That's a really good question. A huge part of the criteria for selection is whether or not you're at a place in your development where you're ready to take advantage of the resources that Sundance has. It's not always about, you could be the most talented person in the world, you could be the most whatever, have the biggest production and all these things. The final product of the film actually has less to do with whether or not you're in the fellowship as your relationship to being an artist and your relationship to kind of being in process as an artist. That is so much more significant as part of the selection. And the readiness is someone who's at the sweet spot where these resources will still be helpful to them. So they're not past the point where the kind of resources that Ignite has will be helpful to them. And someone who's not necessarily going to be overwhelmed or intimidated or just like kind of not know what to do in the space at that time. Readiness really comes down to like an understanding of who you are, the way you talk about your films, the way you talk about your art, your own literacy with yourself. We are not a production-based program. We're not teaching you how to make films. That's not what we do. We don't tell you how to pull focus or how to color or edit things. That's not our work. So you have to come with a sense, with an understanding of your relationship to the craft from a technical standpoint already, and a willingness and an understanding of who you are as an artist, so that we can help you kind of dig into it, break it down a little bit, explore it where you're not going to get lost within the exploration and within some of the places that we try and encourage you to go. I think is somewhat one way to articulate what readiness is. Yes, Raphael, you want to add something?
One is like a personal observation I saw from all my fellow filmmakers is that I feel like everyone is not there yet, but everyone sold well the promise of who they were going to be. And maybe that's something to keep in mind when filling the application. It's okay not to know where you'll end up, but it's important to know where you'll be going.
Yeah, and that destination can be just an idea of a relationship with yourself as an artist, and doesn't have to be like, just know that and a willingness to grow is really comes down to it as well.
Awesome. So we will take our next question. We have a little bit of time left, so if you do have a question, you haven't submitted it yet, make sure to use that Q&A button. So our next question is from Colette, who asks, if you're 25 when submitting but will turn 26 within 2025, can you still submit?
Yes, so long as you are 25 at the application deadline. Actually, I can't remember. I think it's yes, at the application deadline, so long as you are 25, you are able to participate. So you can turn 26 on February 15th, and you are still eligible for the fellowship. So it's just about when being 25 at the end of the application window. That is a very good question.
Perfect. And then our next question is from Ryan, who asks, are there any exceptions or other programs for film students who are over the age of 25?
Absolutely. So we don't, the only exception that we have for age is that which I just said, which is that if you turn 26 during your fellowship year or after the application, that's okay. Sundance, every other program at Sundance that we have is for filmmakers of any age at any stage. So, or not at any stage, every single one, but at any age. So Sundance does not consider emerging a particular age group. This particular fellowship is age specific, but every other program we have, our documentary fund, our feature film program development tracks, our episodic labs, the festival, all of those things are for anyone at any age, and they are for emerging filmmakers who are at early stages of their career or early stages of project development.
And Ryan, if you have a particular interest, like if you're looking for something specifically like feature film, episodic, documentary, put it in the chat and we can put a link in there for the program that would be relevant for you, and you can check that out. Okay, I also know, Toby, a lot of people were wondering how it works if you're international. Raphael, I know you're from Montreal, so is it open to all international applicants?
It is open to all international applicants. The one thing I will say, and we are eager for international applicants. No more Canadians. No, I'm kidding. We love Canadians. Please, please, please. If you're Canadian, we really want you to apply. Forget what I said there. The one thing I will say is that unfortunately, Sundance is not able to provide financial or logistical support for procuring a visa to be able to come to the country. So we're happy to provide letters saying that proof that you're in the program, that we're supporting you, that you're receiving things, but we can't work with the State Department directly, and we can't unfortunately fund getting a visa if that is something that you need. So we do require you to have a visa prior to coming to being part of the fellowship. But yes, anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world is open to coming, so long as you're able to get a visa to the United States.
Awesome.
And we cover travel for international applicants wherever they're coming from.
Okay, great. Our next question is from Cameron, who asks, is there a place we can go to watch previous films that have been submitted and accepted into the Sundance Ignite program?
That's an interesting question. There are a couple. Sometimes we put them up on our website, depending on whether or not they are available. Also, I believe that there are archives of them on Colab by application year, if I'm not mistaken. The applications are not necessarily open for everybody to see. We give you the option to list your film as private if you want to list your film as private, so that you don't jeopardize any premiere eligibilities or things like that with the film. Yeah, but if you go to the previous collab years, some of the films will be available to watch. I don't think this current year's films are up on the website at the moment, but there are occasionally we link to films they play. It's a little tricky just because sometimes these films are out on festival runs, and we don't want. But you can always reach out to somebody and see if their films are available on Vimeo, and they can.
Sounds like Raphael is maybe volunteering to share.
But I have a list of there's a bunch of movies from like people and from my year and the year after me that are online. Like Chloe was on Short of the Week. Justin is on New York. Oh, me too. So
Yes.
like it's a bit of a guessing game, but if you want the input, I can send you a few.
That's something that we should probably put together for Ignite, is a resource of where you can watch Ignite Fellows shorts.
Love it. And then does Sundance retain any intellectual property of what is submitted to the application or what is created during the fellowship?
It's a great question. No, we do not retain any intellectual property. So neither what you submit, neither us nor Adobe retain any intellectual property of what you submit. And then during the fellowship, you retain all intellectual property of what you create during the fellowship, including your mentors who, if they give you advice on the film, are also not, they do not retain any intellectual property, nor are they guaranteed crediting of any sort in the film. If you develop a relationship with your mentor where you want them to be a producer on the film, that's a relationship that you have to negotiate and agree upon outside of Sundance. It's not something that we manage because according to their contract that they sign as well, they surrender any intellectual rights to what they contribute to.
Awesome. And then before we wrap it up, I just wondered if you could speak a little bit about what happens for people who are in creative teams, like who are writing together, directing together. Can they
Sure.
become fellows as a pair?
Yeah, so if you are in a creative team and you have a co-director or a co-writer, only the person who applies gets the fellowship. So if you submit a film that you've collaborated on, writing or directing, also that is really important that I always forget to say, you do have to be the writer or director of the film. That is one of the requirements, has to be a film that you are the writer or director of. And if you co-wrote it or co-directed with somebody, only the person who applies would be part of the fellowship. The other person would not get the fellowship as well.
So we had another question come in from Lucas. He asks, just to confirm, submitting one's video privately to the application guarantees upholding premiere status.
Yeah, so you wouldn't, I don't want to say on record, I don't want to say on record because I don't want to get in trouble, but to my understanding, so long as it is not publicly available for viewing, it does not affect premiere status for festivals. I can only speak from Sundance. For Sundance, actually, we don't have premiere requirements for the short.
Right.
for the shorts. But other festivals, I can't speak 100% for sure, but that is my understanding. Yes, Raphael, maybe you know more about that.
Yeah, I was in this exact situation where my film was awaiting premiere. There is no problem because, as you said too, I made sure about it with my distributor, so no worries because it's not going to be available for the public.
Perfect. Do you have any final thoughts, Raphael, before we wrap up? Anything you want to share with the group?
No, I feel like I yap too much. I have
No,
nothing
not
else
at all.
I have nothing else to say. If you guys have questions, you can ask me. But thank you.
Well, thank you, Raphael, and thank you, Erica, for putting this on, and the entire CoLab team. And of course, thank you, Kat, for collaborating with me on this and this program. If there's anything that you guys take away from this is that we really, 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 really want to see your films. You guys are what this program is for. It's not for anyone else but you guys, and there is no reason why your film cannot be part, and you yourself cannot be part of the fellowship. It's really what we're here for. Like I said, the application closes on February 14th, so you have quite a bit of time to get your stuff together. There, you can always reach us at ignite@sundance.org with any questions about that. And if you are interested in coming to the festival via the Ignite and Adobe ticket package, you can go to the festival website, which is festival.sundance.org, and go to the ticketing, and you can purchase the Ignite ticket package. And if you have any questions about that as well, you can also reach out to ignite@sundance.org.
We put that email in the chat for anyone who has any questions. We also put a link to the ticket package, and we dropped again the application page link. So just take a look at the chat before we wrap it up and make sure you copy those over so you have the links. And of course, email Toby and Kat if you have any questions leading up to submitting your application. So thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. Thank you, Toby and Kat, for an excellent presentation. This was very informative. And I also want to thank Marcus and Kat behind the scenes. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you all around CoLab soon. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much.